Would you welcome Miss Joan Embery? Would you welcome Joan Embery? You name me one other place in this entire world of 4.5 billion people where a man is sitting with a marmoset on his head. I mean, the odds of that happening.
He's just getting comfortable.
Well, I can't sit here the rest of it. I can't sit and talk to people with an animal on my head.
Cute little thing.
Was he spitting? Was that saliva? Okay, wonderful. Well, I'm glad you didn't bring a baby elephant along.
Hi, I'm Joan Embery, and welcome to the Animal Express.
Joan Embery has been synonymous with the San Diego Zoo, animals, and conservation for more than 40 years. Whether she's appearing on a television show as a guest, or hosting her own series, lecturing about a book she's written, or even riding on a Rose Parade float, symbolically carrying the DNA of endangered species, this conservation superstar's mission in life is to inspire people to care about wildlife and motivate them to become stewards of animals and their environments. For more than 30 of those years, Duane Pillsbury, Joan's beloved husband, partner, and best friend, has been right by her side, playing a crucial behind-the-scenes role of unwavering support for all that she does. He retired early from his career as a college professor to become a part of her wild world. Duane is also an accomplished wildlife artist with a passion and commitment to conservation that equals his wife's. Duane is her rock, as Joan puts it, and together they champion the cause that truly defines who they are.
We've been a team for 32 years.
We've been married 32 years.
Yeah, I think we think a lot alike. And
she'll start saying something and I can finish the sentence. I mean, a lot of times it just happens that way. And we both look at something and immediately we're both moving to do the same thing. But with the animals or something that's happening, a question that comes up.
we finish each other's, dialogue almost, but we need each other to get our work done because we back each other up, whether it's working with an animal or whatever we're doing on the ranch. Sometimes it just takes a team. Our mission is to convince people to be as passionate about wildlife as we are. And if we can share our passion, hopefully we can light that flame with them.
Initially through Joan's affiliation with the San Diego Zoo, and more recently through Joan and Duane's Embry Institute for Wildlife Conservation, this dynamic duo has reached millions, perhaps billions, of people with their message that promotes conservation of the natural world by connecting people to nature, wildlife, and wild places. As the 2011 recipients of the San Diego Zoo's prestigious Conservation Medal, this husband and wife team is being honored for a lifetime of conservation advocacy, which for Joan began at an early age.
People always ask me, when was it that you really got interested in animals? There was never a point. I think I was born interested in animals. I remember as a kid dragging everything home that I could find, and of course now know that's very wrong. But and then all I could think about is I wanted to work with animals. I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian. And the most overwhelming experience for me, life-changing, was the day that I went from being a visitor to the zoo to an employee, and I stepped across the moat in with the elephants.
And so began Joan's love affair with Carol, a young elephant who stole her heart. On a dare, Joan trained Carol to paint, which led to her first national TV appearance on The Tonight Show as the zoo's new Goodwill ambassador.
But we're going to see how much trust you have in her. Carol, put your head down.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. No.
See this little rope right here?
What?
Get steady, head down. Hold that with your right hand.
Yeah.
And put your hind quarters
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Carol, pick him up. Sit in her trunk. All right, ready? Trunk up. Trunk up.
Joan was an instant hit with Carol, but as more and more television shows came calling, she had challenges when she wanted to showcase animals that were not trained to do behaviors.
When I started in television, they asked me what the animals were going to do, because at that time most of the animals appearing live on camera were trained commercial animals that did tricks or did even human-like behaviors. And I really had to work to convince them that the animals just being themselves, what they are, that they were fascinating just being what they are. At this age, they're just so active, and that's one of the fun things about watching the otters.
These are otters.
If I give you one, the other will probably follow.
Well, I've heard that.
We'll
Hello, boys. Hello, men.
Every time I see someone bring an animal on a TV show, I think of Joan. Because I think people know she was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson more than any other single guest during his time on that desk. And she set the standard. A lot of other people come on, talk about animals. Some are great, some are not so great. But Joan set the bar.
What Joan does on camera is extraordinarily difficult to do. She really did pioneer the television age with her presentations on camera. And she's peerless. So for me, there is no equal to what Joan does.
What most people didn't realize is that while I'm on camera, right behind the curtain, Duane was standing to make sure everything ran smoothly. And so I have become so dependent on him being there for me, whether it's the logistics, driving a 2-ton truck and trailer full of animals, coordinating employees, doing the finances, doing the logistics, and the logistics are just amazing whenever you move animals anywhere. You just watch it on its tree, I'll leave it there, and I'll come back for the next one. Okay.
In spite of her growing fame, Joan stayed true to herself and her dream of working with the animals.
She wasn't above anybody. If somebody was going to get down on their knees and scrub the floor, Joan was going to get down on her knees and scrub the floor. She just did what had to be done to accomplish the objectives of her performances or the objectives of the society. You just don't find people with that dedication and the passion that she had for what she was doing. She loved animals, and it just came out. It just flowed from her every time she did something.
Joan is exactly the same on TV as she is when she's talking to me or when she's talking to the person next door or the person at the store that's asked her a question. The sincerity that comes across when she's talking that way on television is just unbelievable. It's almost strange, maybe, when you're in awe of your wife. I mean, it's great to love your wife, but when you're in awe of them, it's a little frightening sometimes. I mean, and she has so much to offer, it's unbelievable.
When he says that I'm the same on TV as I am in real life, I chuckle, because every time I go to a Costco, people come up and they'll start talking to me, and I think, well, where do I know this person? Maybe it's a friend of Duane's. And I'll talk to them, and then I find out that I've never met them before, but they feel like they know me because they've watched me over the years on television, and they treat me like I was like a long-lost friend. And I have to be somewhat impressed by that, even if I'm in a hurry and I don't have a lot of time to talk, that they feel that comfortable in talking to me and, can relate back to what they've seen me do over the years. At least I feel success that people were paying attention, people were watching.
While her thousands of television appearances have enabled Joan and Duane to reach out to the public with their message, it's been equally important for them to touch people on a more individual basis, such as training high school students and veterinary interns on their 50-acre ranch in Lakeside.
Joan is one of the most giving people you will ever meet. She always has time for you. She makes time for you. Joan and Duane have been very supportive, not only in how I pursue my career. When I did my internship with them, I was in between undergraduate and I had not been yet accepted to my graduate degree program. Joan knew I wanted to be a veterinarian and my GPA was not what it should have been, but she never, ever told me to think about a plan B. When everyone else in my life told me, plan B, that was never mentioned. She said, if you have a passion for it, never give up. And at this point in my life, I am so glad that she drove that point home every time I talk to her, because I'm a veterinarian and I have to say a large part of that is because of Joan.
Joan and Duane's ranch is a haven they created together after Duane's original house on the property burned to the ground just before he met Joan. It's home to 40 horses and more than 30 rare and endangered animals.
Well, we have a collection of animals here at the ranch that we use as our conservation ambassadors. Each of these animals represents some of our conservation challenges. We have an amphibian, which are facing serious problems worldwide with amphibian decline. We have birds, we have tropical birds from the rainforest. We're losing our rainforest at an acre per second. So when we showcase the animals like the toucan or the sloth from the rainforest, we can showcase an animal that requires that environment for its habitat and then talk about the destruction of the environment and how that impacts the animals. Every animal here is special, and every morning when I get up and I grab my coffee and I look out and I see that zebra, I still can't believe I'm looking at a grubby zebra, and I'm in awe every single day. But there are some that just worm their way into your heart, and Duane had, a wallaroo. And every night, the last thing he would do before he went to bed, every night, was go out and spend time with his wallaroo. And that wallaroo was raised, it slept in our bed with us, it was in the house until it got old enough to be on its own. It had a very close relationship with Duane. And when we ultimately lost him, these animals don't live as long as humans, it was really difficult for Duane. You would have thought he lost his own child. So we have native wildlife, we have our animal ambassadors, and then we have our horses. So everybody thinks it's an idyllic place. They come in, they say, I'd love to live here, what a great place. I said, if you lived here, you would never sit in that chair because you're working all the time. We call it the workaholic ranch.
We still enjoy our horses, we still enjoy our pets. Our dog, our cats, their pets. The wild animals are our conservation group, and we love those guys too.
Their cherished ranch is also home base for their Embry Institute for Wildlife Conservation. Through the Institute, they serve on conservation-oriented boards, host events and fundraisers at the ranch, and have created an image resource library. They also support a myriad of causes that range from veterinary teams and a giraffe translocation project in Africa to a local mountain lion outreach program. They're even helping to protect and restore the San Diego River.
The San Diego River, like most river systems, is important in the context of conservation because in San Diego, probably half of our sensitive animals are associated with the river at one time or another during the course of a year. 15 years or so ago, a number of people, including Joan and Duane, engaged in an effort to redirect focus on the San Diego River with the purpose of creating a river park, but more fundamentally trying to recover and restore the actual river. There's no river park without a river. Joan and Duane occupy a pretty unique place in the conservation world in San Diego County, primarily because of Joan's reputation and her recognition as a spokesperson for conservation and wildlife. And she and Duane bring that reputation and that credibility to the San Diego River Park effort.
The world has also been Joan and Duane's conservation canvas. They've traveled extensively to the wild places that they are so passionately helping to protect. Joan documents their encounters with wildlife through photography, interviews, and information gathering, with Duane, as always, there to support her.
I enjoy working with film, and I have a friend who's a filmmaker, Som Summerhays, who's done some remarkable films. And I have been fortunate to go out and work with him and help on some of his projects, which he does a great job at showcasing the environment at its best and most spectacular.
I have to say that Joan's work in particular is really helpful to me as a filmmaker, because she's a really good director, and she looks at things from other perspectives, and she's such a good communicator that she plugs the holes in some of my stories. So she's invaluable in that regard. And Duane too is a great supporter, and I consult with him. He brings a different perspective.
Whatever the medium, Joan and Duane's message is always on behalf of the animals and environment that they so dearly love. As true conservationists in every sense of the word, they've reached out to the world, and the world is listening.
Wild habitat, as we have known it in the past, is diminishing, and thousands of species of animals are critically endangered, and the balance of nature and what's left of those environments will determine how many species survive, and ultimately, I think, the quality of human life as well.
With Joan and Duane, there's a lot of conservation that exists now that wouldn't exist without them. It's that basic, and I think that is really a legacy that already exists. It already, they embody that, they live that every day, and that's the picture of their life.
Joan and Duane are really extraordinary people, and having known them for over a decade now, I realize the extraordinary influence that they have, not only on me, because they inspire me, but on the literally hundreds of thousands, millions of people who hear their message and who are motivated to take care of the wildlife that they talk about.
Joan and Duane are deserving of the Conservation Medal because of their commitment to conservation. They live it, they breathe it, it's every day. And I don't know of anybody that I know, having been in the profession 40 years, that has that passion that they have. And it's a joint passion, it's a team. For Joan and Duane, protecting animals and supporting conservation, it's just not a profession, it's their life.